All right, just got back from Nick Caley's press conference. We're going to have plenty of time to dissect and analyze and talk about what Nick Caley did and did not say. But for the purpose of this video, I want to kind of focus on the DeMeco Ryans side of things, which is really the most important thing, because DeMeco Ryans is the one who made this decision. DeMeco Ryans is the guy that hired Bobby Slowik. He's the guy that fired Bobby Slowik. Now he's the guy that hired Nick Caley. And I think we kind of learning a lot of valuable lessons about DeMeco Ryans, who's still early in his career as a head coach. I thought he said some interesting things, and he was actually quite candid today at the press conference. It is the Locker Room, #1 source for Texans digital content. I am Landry Locker. You can see me, hear me here throughout the season, off season, all of that. 10:30 night stream videos throughout. SNL with myself and Cody Stutes daily at 4 o'clock. But let's get into this DeMeco Ryans thing. And let's just start with his opening statement. And I think there's a very important lesson to learn before we hear from DeMeco when it comes to the lesson that I think we kind of knew, but now we have confirmation of when it comes to DeMeco Ryans. We know he's a player's coach. We know that he is going to always defend his players and his coaches during the season, especially when there's not really much that he feels he can do about it. But what he says at the podium is not necessarily how he feels. And I think it's very apparent that the frustration that a lot of fans were voicing about the offense, I think DeMeco shared those concerns, but he just does a really good job of going up to the podium during the season and kind of defending what's going on the field. Let's hear from DeMeco Ryans first. This is the opening statement. And the reason why I like this opening statement, and we'll also hear a question I asked him about the process of hiring Nick Caley and getting rid of Bobby Slowik. I think this is interesting because I think when DeMeco's asked questions, he has a natural shield because he does like to protect players. But the opening statement, after it's a decision that he made, it's not something that the players did. It's not having to defend the players. It's him having to be accountable for himself. I think this is like the most information you're going to get from DeMeco Ryans, and it allows jamokes, media types like me, to kind of dissect and try to make something of it. But here was DeMeco Ryans' opening statement, and I think he told us a lot about Bobby Slowik. This was DeMeco Ryans at the introductory press conference talking about how he came to this decision, what happened, all that. Here was DeMeco.
We made a move at the offensive coordinator spot, and it was I went through a long process, thorough process of interviewing a lot of great candidates, college and pro candidates, and I'm thankful for the McNairs, thankful for Nick Caserio and his help, their involvement in supporting me through this process. And man, I couldn't be more excited to welcome, Nick Caley as our new offensive coordinator, right? He brings a wealth of knowledge, smart coach. He's coached on the defensive side, offense, coached multiple positions, worked with a lot of different people, various schemes, not just beholden to one scheme. He's very well-versed in run game, pass game, protection. Like, he's well-versed in it all. So very smart coach, very energetic guy, great leader. Everybody I talked to about throughout this process had nothing but awesome things to say about Nick and his approach, the players that he's coached. Like, there's nothing but rave reviews about Nick and how he's helped guys in their careers. So I'm excited to work with him. I can't wait for our players to get here and work with him. I know they'll feel his energy, feel his excitement, and what he's able to bring to our team. So with that, I just want to welcome Nick.
All right. So I think that's important because the biggest knocks on Bobby Slowik were he seemed tied to one system. It's the only system that he coached in. He only coached in San Francisco. Really, that was the majority of his career. He was in San Francisco, and he was under Kyle Shanahan the entire time. One scheme the entire time. And it didn't seem like it was really player driven, which was something that Caley kind of emphasized that we'll get into throughout the week. The other thing that I started to question was, okay, Bobby Slowik has never coached a position group, and it doesn't appear that this guy is fit to really lead a group, an offensive group. And you heard DeMeco Ryans talk about leadership. We don't expect DeMeco Ryans to go up there and throw a lot of guys under the bus. especially in season. And I don't think he threw Bobby Slowik under the bus, but I think he told us in praising what he liked about Nick Caley about our reservations of Bobby Slowik and the actual evidence of Bobby Slowik's background, coaching under one scheme, and his whole actions. So evidence and actions, it kind of combines to where you can kind of see what DeMeco is saying. So I thought this was a lot of confirmation about the thoughts that we had about Slowik throughout the week. And this scheme, we don't know what it's going to look like, but DeMeco praises working under multiple schemes. He has that, and he praises him being a leader. So we'll see how that plays out. But I thought DeMeco Ryans kind of told us there and kind of confirmed what we had thought. I also really love this answer. I asked DeMeco Ryans, because this is the second time he's led this process. Last time the process led him to Bobby Slowik, which I don't think we can criticize. I mean, it just didn't work out. Sometimes stuff doesn't work out. Like draft picks don't work out. Free agent signings don't work out. It's really just about how you react. It's how you pivot. It's how you figure it out. Nobody's 100% in free agency. Nobody's 100% in the draft. Nobody's 100% in coaching hires. But DeMeco Ryans was willing to make the decision. And if DeMeco Ryans is going to get where he wants to go, he's going to have to evolve. And when he is faced with the same decision with larger amounts of experience, it's probably going to feel different. And if it doesn't, then he's probably not going to be a head coach for long. But I asked DeMeco Ryans what it was like this time hiring an offensive coordinator compared to last time. And I absolutely loved this answer from DeMeco Ryans. And you can tell he's very content and comfortable with the decision he arrived at.
What was it like? This is the second time you looked for someone to kind of oversee the offensive side of the ball. What was it like this time as compared to the first time when you hadn't been a head coach yet?
This time, this process, it's a little easier. I think knowing what I was looking for, and knowing what to look for after being a head coach for 2 years now, and seeing how we operate here, and it was an easier process for me. The first time around becoming a head coach, it was very hectic, trying to get a new staff, trying to put everything together. A lot more hectic this time, just being able to take my time, not rush anything, but to think through it, get the right guy, talk to a lot of different people, right, to get a lot of input in what we were doing. So felt much more comfortable this time around.
And I think that's all you can ask for. I mean, and look, the first time you're doing it, you have all this stuff going on. It's your first draft is approaching. First time you're filling a staff. You don't have a feel of the players. You can watch all the tape you want, but you don't have a feel for them. You haven't gone through seasons with them. Nick Caserio, it's the first time y'all are working together. So a little bit of unfamiliarity there. So I think it's cool that DeMeco Ryans said that. I thought he did a good job of expressing that. And you can tell that, he wants a guy who's a leader. He wants a guy who's open to multiple schemes and has not necessarily experienced play calling. And we talked about this, but experience leading men and experience with other types of schemes. I know one of the things that Caley said was square peg, round hole. That's a lot of times what it felt like with Bobby Slowik. It wasn't based on players. And I think if you can combine what we've seen offensively in the two most successful forms of offense for the Texans in the last decade, and that's not saying much, but you look at the O'Brien scheme and you look at the Bobby Slowik scheme, and I think the foundation of both of those things that they claim it to be on the surface is a good thing. Like Bill O'Brien likes the game plan defense, but at the same time, he's still trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. I tell the story about Bill O'Brien showing tape of the Patriots and talking about what Randy Moss and Wes Welker did, which is a little bit silly. And then Bobby Slowik, he's married to a scheme, which is fine if you have a good scheme, but it goes back to the square peg, round hole. And I don't think it was a coincidence that Nick Caley said that. We've seen both forms of this experience not work. Maybe blending, the Patriot background with the background from the McVay/Shanahan, maybe that's going to be the perfect mix. DeMeco Ryans seems to believe in it. He seems a little bit comfortable. Obviously, the offseason is where you're going to be able to get the most important thing, the pieces, the offensive pieces. But I thought it was good to hear from DeMeco. I thought it was a very, very productive press conference today. And I look forward to breaking it all down with you as the combine approaches, which will be live at. Subscribe, like, ride along. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Appreciate y'all for coming through.